Intelligence is one of the most fascinating and most debated traits of human beings. For over a century, psychologists have tried to measure it using something called the intelligence quotient, or simply IQ. But what exactly is IQ? How is it tested? And what do the numbers really mean? Let's start at the beginning. The concept of IQ was born in the early 1900s, when French psychologist Alfred Binet was asked to develop a test that could identify children who needed extra help in school. His work eventually led to the modern IQ test, which is designed not to test knowledge but rather mental ability. So how is IQ decided? IQ tests are carefully structured assessments that examine several areas of thinking: logical reasoning, spotting patterns, solving puzzles, and thinking through problems. Memory, recalling sequences, numbers, or stories. Language ability, understanding vocabulary, analogies, and comprehension. Processing speed, how quickly you can analyze and respond to new information. Spatial skills, recognizing shapes, patterns, and objects in space. Each of these scores is combined and compared to large groups of people the same age. The average score across the population is always set at 100. This way, IQ isn't an absolute number, it's a comparison. How do you take an IQ test? While you'll find plenty of IQ tests online, official IQ tests are administered by trained psychologists. Popular examples include the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, WAIS, or the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales. These tests take around an hour or more and include a mix of problem-solving, puzzles, and reasoning exercises. Online versions can be fun, but they're not always accurate. Now let's decode the numbers. 100. This is the average score, where most people fall. 85 to 115. About 2/3 of all people score in this range. Perfectly normal. 115 to 130. Above average, often associated with strong academic skills. 130 and higher. This is the gifted range, representing about 2% of the population. Below 70. This may indicate intellectual disabilities, depending on other factors. In popular culture, the idea of intelligence is sometimes exaggerated into superhuman levels. A great example is the movie Lucy, where Scarlett Johansson's character unlocks the full potential of her brain, eventually reaching 100% of her mental capacity and developing godlike abilities. But here's the truth. The movie is based on the myth that humans only use 10% of their brains. Neuroscience has proven that's not true. We actually use almost all parts of the brain, just not all at the same time. Still, the film raises an interesting question. What would it look like if we could push human intelligence far beyond normal limits? That's where real-life geniuses come in. They don't have superpowers like Lucy, but their abilities sometimes feel close. Terence Tao, known as the Mozart of math, he began studying calculus at just 7 years old, the same year he entered high school. By 20, Terence Tao, often nicknamed the Mozart of math, had already completed his PhD at Princeton University. In 1996, that very year, he joined the faculty at the University of California, Los Angeles, and within 4 years was promoted to professor. A decade later, in 2006, he received the prestigious Fields Medal, often regarded as the Nobel Prize of Mathematics. His IQ is reported to fall between 225 and 230. Marilyn Vos Savant, with a record IQ of 228, cracked logic puzzles so complex that even mathematicians doubted her at first. She became famous for her Ask Marilyn column in Parade magazine, where she solved brain teasers and logic problems from readers. William James Sidis, IQ, estimated 250-300, considered one of the most intelligent humans ever. Entered Harvard at the age of 11. Could reportedly speak over 40 languages. Despite his brilliance, he lived a quiet life, avoiding fame and working simple jobs because he disliked attention. Christopher Harada, IQ 225. At age 13, he worked with NASA on projects about colonizing Mars. Won the gold medal in the International Physics Olympiad at 13, the youngest American to do so. Earned his PhD in physics from Princeton at 22. Today, he's a professor at Ohio State University, working on cosmology and dark energy. Kim Eung-young, IQ 210. A South Korean child prodigy. Could read Korean, Japanese, German, and English by the age of 3. Invited by NASA to study in the US when he was just a child. later returned to South Korea, choosing a quiet life as a professor, valuing happiness over fame. Stephen Hawking, IQ, 160. Renowned theoretical physicist who made groundbreaking discoveries about black holes and the universe. Diagnosed with ALS at 21, doctors gave him only a few years to live, but he lived for more than 50. Revolutionized our understanding of time, space, and cosmology, despite being unable to move or speak without assistance. Albert Einstein, IQ, estimated 160-190, developed the theory of relativity, changing the way we understand space and time. Wasn't a perfect student in traditional schooling, and even struggled with language early on. Known for his creativity as much as his logic, showing that imagination is a key part of intelligence. But here's the twist. IQ is not the only kind of intelligence. A high IQ can predict strong academic performance, logical thinking, and problem-solving skills. But it doesn't necessarily predict creativity, emotional intelligence, wisdom, or practical life skills. Some people with average IQs live extraordinary, impactful lives, while some with very high IQs struggle socially or emotionally. In the end, IQ is like a snapshot, one way of measuring how the brain handles certain challenges. It can open doors, but it doesn't define your worth or potential. True intelligence shows up not only in test scores, but in how we solve problems, adapt to challenges, and connect with other human beings. So next time you think about IQ, remember, it's just one piece of the puzzle that makes up the fascinating, complex picture of human intelligence.